Good afternoon, everyone. I welcome you all in the knowledge sharing session on actions for happiness. So before we start, let me introduce you with aims. So, in the annals of management education sector, 27th August 1988 should be remembered as a great landmark, as it was on this day. AIMS, Association of Indian Management Schools, a highly impact-making networking body, was born. It has the strong support of about 550 high ranking B schools as its members and is one of the largest networking bodies in the world. It is an umbrella organization for the management institutions. And AIMS has been involved in various activities and it's working for protecting the interest of management institutions from the vagaries of restrictive governmental regulations, professionalization of management education, and creation and dissemination of management related knowledge through its various activities like roundtables for deans and directors. And it is also involved in faculty and student development events, organizing conventions, national and international level seminars and workshops, publications and distribution of AIM journals of management, funding of research projects, and financial assistance. Recently, AIMS has been diversifying into new activities for the benefits of deans, directors, researchers, students, faculty members in the shape of inspiring young leaders and knowledge sharing sessions, at least one each every week. And these new initiatives are fascinating to many faculty and young minds of students. And today we are part of one such knowledge sharing session for faculties. Moving further, let me introduce myself. My name is Mohit Sati. I am assistant professor in Master School of Management, Meerut. In academics, my interest areas are data analytics, digital marketing, programming languages. And since my college days, I was an active volunteer in organizing meditation and well-being workshops and seminars. And since last 11 years, I have been associated with His Holiness Shri Shri Ravi Shankar Ji in the Art of Living Foundation and actively volunteering as the art of living teacher. I have trained youth, corporate people, I have trained prison inmates, I have trained farmers, and has been actively working on the topic of happiness and meditation on the ground. Now, moving further, let me introduce you with the speaker of the day, Dr. Prabhat Pankaj. He is an international researcher on happiness and well-being. Sir is teaching course on happiness to B school students. So Dr. Prabhat is a Harvard trained leader in higher education and currently working as the director of Jaipur Institute of Management, Jaipur. And he was an invitee at World Government Summit Dubai in 2019 by the Ministry of Happiness UAE. In his 30 plus years of teaching career, he has spent 7 years in Bhutan and worked closely with Center of Bhutan Studies and Trade Ministries on the subject of happiness, trade, WTO, and poverty. Sir has published 5 books and numerous research papers in reputed journals, and recently, Sir has received the title of National Unicorn of Happiness by the All India Council of Technical Education (AICT) for his initiative of teaching credit course on happiness and cultivating a positive education environment through nudges and interventions of Jaipur Institute of Management. Sir has engaged happiness session for a large number of institutions and organizations, cutting across sections such as students, faculty, corporate managers, and top leaders. He has also engaged sessions on effective teaching, teaching leadership, innovative pedagogy, and outcome based teaching and learning. Sir is running a blog post on learning and happiness named The Learning Corridor, and we are soon going to meet Sir. And before moving further, let me set a stage for the session. All participants will be on mute. Kindly post all your questions in the Zoom chat or on YouTube chat. If you are on YouTube, you can post on YouTube. If you are on Zoom, you can post on Zoom. Questions will be answered at the end of the session. Attendance link will be shared anytime during the session on the Zoom chat and YouTube chat. Kindly fill that form to get the certificate. People on YouTube can get the link on YouTube chat, and people on Zoom can get the link on Zoom chat. Now, moving further about the session, action for happiness. Let me give you a brief outline so that and hand over the stage to the sir. There are many questions scattered around with the word happiness and educating happiness. What is the real definition of happiness? How can it help in improving students' learning abilities, students' employability? Can happy students create a vibrant, constructive, and learning environment in campus? How happiness can be taught? What are the advantages of learning happiness? There are many questions for that. And happiness and well-being, as you all must be aware, is now being taught at leading universities. It started at Harvard, is now taught at Yale, Berkeley, and has the reputation of the most popular program in the campus. In India, ISB Hyderabad, IIT Kharagpur, IIM Ahmedabad, and IIM Bangalore has introduced such happiness course in online and in-person version for students as well as executives. And positive education and well-being based framework of education is adopted in many countries across the world. So if around the world it is being adopted, should we also start moving the direction of teaching happiness? Now, let me hand over the session to the right person, our speaker of the session, Dr. Prabhat Pankaj. I would request sir to quench our thirst on understanding the concept of happiness and the actions for happiness. Sir, all over to you.
Thank you, Professor Mohit, and namaskar to all the attendees today who have joined on this very important topic, happiness. More than deliberation, probably there will be a lot of questions at the back of everybody's mind. So I would like to keep more time for question answer. So probably I will take about 40-45 minutes to talk about happiness because it's such a vast subject that, even for 2 days deliberation, all aspects cannot be covered. But I'll unearth a little bit of, relevant aspects for all the faculty members who have joined today. From the perspective of the questions that Professor Mohit has actually raised. Where does it lead to? How does it affect the students? What are we actually talking about? How can we implement this in our campus? If suppose we want to do this in our campus, how can we do that? We already know that AICT affiliated institutions are part of happiness drive by an organization called YOL, the Your One Life, initiated by Yogesh Kochar. He has developed an app. It's called the YOL app, One Life app. And the students are using those apps in the campuses. So we are the beneficiary of that, using the app as well. So what is that? I mean, technology coming into happiness. And the first question that drives our mind is that what happiness is actually. I mean, that's the most fundamental questions. I mean, the common notion about happiness is that happiness is immeasurable. You cannot just see or measure happiness. Happiness is personal. It comes to you. If you're happy, you're lucky. It cannot be designed for. Happiness cannot be designed for. It's hard to work for the happiness. How can you say that you can work for the happiness? So these are some of the questions. And one of the factor why such kind of myth has been there associated with happiness is that we have this old good faith in the view that anything good that happens to us is not to be shared with others. So a good thing not to be shared. It's a big no. And happiness is very, very personal. Probably in the last 20 years down the line, we can take it to 30 years, let's say 20 to 30 years, when we started looking at the research that has come from the neuroscience. That's number one, the behavioral science, the mind, the science of the mind. And Richard Davidson is one of the pioneers. So we have started looking at that. And then the clinical psychology, probably Martin Seligman and his happiness lab, and we started looking at that. And then the historical perspective, we started talking about Epicurus, also his first school of happiness, which he started in Rome. And then we started looking at Marcus Aurelius, his Stoic philosophy, and how he has come up with the idea of meditation. And then we started looking at economics. So Professor Laird from London School of Economics, John Halliwell, Ruth Winhoven, and it all started with Easterlin. And then even, Professor Amartya Sen had joined this whole fray, and he started talking about the happiness. So, there are clues available in all kind of subjects that we look at, all kind of stream of thoughts that we can look at. And then what we have done is that we have actually gathered all this research from different field of knowledge and then combine them together to convert them into a course called Science of Well-being or Happiness, Science of Happiness. So that's what exactly we are doing. So what I'm going to talk about is all purely based on research. And what does the research say about happiness, about human being, and what lesson we can learn from that, and what kind of actions that we can design based on these lessons. So let me begin with, because of the paucity of time, let me begin with a small video of about 5-6 minutes from my campus. This will give you a fair idea about what exactly we do in our campus to ensure happiness for the students, faculty, everybody. So let me just play that video for all of you. Just give me. Mohit, is it all right?
Yes, sir, it's audible and
Not only just management education, but a true happiness culture is what Jaipuria Institute of Management Jaipur delivers. The institute, which over the years has been credited with continuously evolving to provide excellent management education. Over the years, the approach not only to academics but also to student holistic development has changed. Let's hear what the director of the institute, Dr. Prabhat Pankaj, has to say about why teaching happiness is important.
Teaching happiness is an important milestone for Jaipuria Institute of Management. The first question we confronted was, why should we teach happiness? It is important to have a positive evaluation of life, as we know that more than 50,000 thoughts struck us every day, and out of that 80% of these are negative. So our mind is actually tuned to negative thoughts. After teaching happiness in our campus, we found that the students who have gone through the courses, they are more energetic, they are more enthusiastic, they are more purpose oriented, and they are able to find their goals better.
The campus uses a lot of happiness nudges in this process of cultivating happiness on the campus. Students find themselves involved in many actions, fulfilling their state of mind for overall betterment. The Institute also focuses upon happiness mandalas as a framework that it follows for happiness on the campus. Aesthetic, intellectual, and ethical in all processes.
Happiness has to be holistic in nature, and it depends on the learner's acceptability. So we have oriented our campus on happiness model, which has got 4 cores. We call it happiness mandalas. And the outer mandala you can see is the green mandala, which enables the learner to accept the fact that this institution belongs to them and they are able to learn here. Students, through these instruments like Jaipuria Code of Conduct or 5 habits, where our people are thinking that cheerful disposition, which means be happy, be grateful, be enthusiastic, are the part of our core.
Let's now hear what the Dean of Student Affairs, Dr. Danishwar Sharma, has to say about the campus and its activities directed towards cultivating happiness and well-being on the campus.
Happiness, they say, is not only a destination but a journey. And this journey continues not only inside the classroom but also outside the classroom. Through various activities, quizzes, competitions, we continue to discuss this wonderful concept of happiness.
The institution is also working with Yogesh Kochar, World Happiness Ambassador at the House of Lords and founder of the Your One Life app. With his expertise in the fields of mind management and happiness, the campus is adapting towards a more enhanced culture of happiness. Let's now see how the Institute has made efforts to design a well-being room on the campus premises where students and faculty meet for informal conversations, meditation, fireside chats, and to discuss topics related to well-being and mental health. Into one of the few B schools in India that offers its students a happiness curriculum through a scientific approach.
In this course, we try to look at a science-based approach to well-being. And when I say science-based, I mean it in the broad sense of the term. Part 1 of the course talks about diagnosing your level of well-being through various questionnaires, psychometric instruments, observation from others, and so on and so forth. So that is part 1 of the course. In part 2 of the course, they try to enhance their well-being through different kinds of approach.
Hi, I am Priyal Mathur. I am enrolled in a course of Science of Wellbeing, and I am learning all the dimensions of well-being and happiness for my personal growth as well as for my surroundings.
The Institute provides education not only to its own students but has also been actively teaching and spreading happiness to the underprivileged sections of the society. The Institute, under the aegis of its Social Responsibility Committee and Center for Sustainability and Happiness, has successfully conducted many flagship programs for the welfare of weaker sections of society. Let's hear from Dr. Varun Chotia, Chairperson, Social Responsibility Committee and Center for Sustainability and Happiness.
In this respect, we have certain flagship programs, be it Mindbloom, where we have adopted a government school nearby the campus, Urja, where we are teaching the Basti kids nearby our campus. We have the Wish program, wherein our students are working with NGOs across the academic year. It's a credit program. And we also have Sarthi, wherein we have adopted certain villages in Jaipur, wherein we are working for the development of those villages. Primarily, we are targeting 3 sustainable development goals, that is Sustainable Development Goal 1, no poverty, Sustainable Development Goal 4, quality education, and Sustainable Development Goal 12, responsible production and
The
consumption.
campus has been long associated with the education of Bhutan and its people. It has been a privilege for the Institute to host the delegates from this happy nation on various occasions. There has been quite an exchange of knowledge and research between the Royal School of Management, Bhutan, Royal Thimphu College and Jaipuria, Jaipur. The campus has also played an important part in consultancy projects for the government of Bhutan, and this relationship between the two is getting better by each day. The Institute, with its work on happiness, has been continuously praised for its advances towards society and its students receiving many national awards such as QS India Rankings, Institution of Happiness Award, and the National Unicorn of Happiness Award by the All India Council for Technical Education.
Happiness is a greater good, and Jaipuria is committed to making it available to everyone. Namaste.
Let me now go back to my PPT and start talking about happiness. Is PPT visible, Professor Mohit?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, okay, all right. Professor Mohit has already pointed out Yale's most popular course is happiness. You know, everybody needs this in large quantity, large measure. And there are 2 legs on which our life moves. One is health and other is happiness. If these 2 are not available, nothing is immaterial for us. Whatever we do, we fail in our pursuit if we don't feel healthy, if we are not healthy, and if we are not happy. There are select perspectives on happiness. I would like to go with that. One is by Amartya Sen. He talked about capability approach to happiness. So he said that if you look at 2 individuals with a similar kind of setting, achievements, one will be more happy than the other. So what explains the difference between the higher happiness of one person in comparison to other, irrespective of what they have actually earned in their life? So he says that is capability to happy. So if there is something called capability to be happy, then it also gives us the clues that this capability can be enhanced. And there are many peer-reviewed journals, publications, which have supported this idea by saying that if you actually organize 2 to 3 weeks of interventions on happiness, the participants' happiness have actually tended to increase by about 25%. So that's what, the outcome of happiness intervention says. This means that there is need to work on happiness, and we need to look at how happiness can be enhanced in the life of our students and in the life of our faculty members. There's another approach by Martin Seligman, the most celebrated psychologist. He differentiated between pleasant life, a good life, and a meaningful life. He said that pleasant life is not exactly the happy life. So if you are hankering after a pleasant life, it may elude you at some point of time. So you have to look at what good life is all about. and what a meaningful life is all about. So the moment we understand the difference between pleasant life, good life, and meaningful life, most of our worries in the life will go, and then we will be able to plan our life in such a way that it actually creates more happiness for us. So we are going to throw a lot of light on this aspect. This very interesting work that has been done by Dan Buettner. He actually talked to people all across the globe who lived more than 100 years. So, looked at the longevity of these people, and they were very happy people who lived more than 100 years. And he actually, explored their lifestyle and everything. And then he came up with few lessons for all of us. He said that these people who lived more than 100 years, they actually walk naturally. So they are, they prefer walking a lot. And in our life, sedentary life, you see that, the walking has actually gone. Rather, we are sitting on the chair for a very, very long time. And it's a source of unhappiness, because the new data from the science says that, the medical science says that if you're sitting in a chair for more than 2 hours, it is going to harm your body as much as a cigarette can harm. So it's a long sitting is a new form of smoking. And this is very much, corroborated with a study by Dan Buettner for these people who have lived more. And these people know their purpose. So, when we get up in the morning, and if our days are sorted out, we know that what exactly are lying ahead in the day, and we want to meet this person, we have to do this, we have to carry on this task, I'm going to do this. And if these are largely sorted out, you will feel that the day will be pretty happy for you, and you won't get that much of a stress. But if you get in the morning and you're not sure about what to do in the day, then your mind is going to be clustered, and you're going to be less happy, because you're going to get a lot of stress to find out what to do for the whole day. So that's knowing the purpose is so important. People actually do not, nobody can guarantee that you're not going to have stress. Everybody has their own share of stress. But people, those who are happy, they know how to shed their stress. Eat less means, these people actually do not overeat. Eating less means that, when your stomach is 80% full, we stop eating. Because we don't have to give too much of food inside, because the natural science, the nature-based medicines, and medical treatment also suggests that food is the source of toxin in our body, and it is the source of most of the disease that we get. And we can live disease-free if we start regulating our food and start eating less. There are many things that this book talks about. So I'm going to move forward. If there is any question, I can answer on that. Is there a science of happiness? That is a question that I would like to answer first. So look at this experiment done by Richard Davidson in Wisconsin. He showed in MRI scan the happy baby face, and he found that the patch has appeared on one side of the brain, and longer the duration the baby was shown, the patch actually increased, and it had gone up to 52 mm. So that is what his finding is. And when he showed the defaced baby in the similar MRI scan, he found that the patch has appeared on the other side. So he concluded the fact that the happiness has a place in our brain where it gets recorded, and it's a neurological phenomenon. So people started asking him, if happiness is a neurological phenomenon, then can we see happiness? Ladies and gentlemen, what I'm going to show you today is never seen before. I'm going to show you happiness, neurological phenomenon called happiness. So let's see, this is how happiness plays out in our brain. And this is happiness, actually. So what is this phenomenon? He says that, the molecules of the protein myosin is dragging a ball of endorphin along an active filament into our inner part of the brain, which is called the parietal cortex, and which is producing the feelings of happiness. That's what happiness is. So people also started asking that if it is a chemical phenomenon or if it is a neurological phenomenon, so what are the chemicals responsible for our happiness? And this is where the clue to life actually lies. If you look at all the chemicals which are responsible and their sources from where these chemicals actually come to our body to give us a good feeling. I did this exercise with my audience across CEOs, top professionals from the corporate world, down to the students and to the faculty. I asked them to list 10 things which they think is going to bring them happiness. Suppose if I ask you to list 10 things which you think is going to bring you happiness, if you get that or if you achieve that, you will be happy. So when people have listed 10 things which are important for them and their happiness, I analyzed more than 5,000 responses. And then I found that more than 8 of these responses, like 80% of the responses, where people think that the life is all about or happiness is all about, were actually coming from dopamine. And their sources are dopamine. For example, people said that they want recognition, they want money, they want power, they want positions. These are all dopamine based. Because when you achieve a goal, precisely because dopamine level increases in your body, and that's why you feel good about achieving a goal. Having a bath, after taking bath, you feel good because your dopamine level increases in your body. It's like eating ice cream. Dopamine is like eating ice cream. So you like ice cream, you eat ice cream. When you eat ice cream, you get pleasure out of it, you get happiness out of it. But this happiness is dopamine based. Remember, the problem with eating ice cream is that it doesn't stop at one ice cream. You need another ice cream, you need another ice cream, you need another ice cream. So every time it will recur. And that is the nature of dopamine. You're actually completely doped. And that's what is happening with the money. So if suppose money is source of happiness, then it doesn't end at one point. You need more money, you need more money. If promotion is the source of happiness, you get another promotion, you want another promotion. So what it does is that dopamine, that it puts you on a hedonic treadmill, and you are actually running on the treadmill and you are reaching nowhere. And that is why if you're planning your life and if you're identifying 10 factors which will make you happy, and out of that, if 8 are dopamine based, then your life is already messed up. And at the end of the day, when you be 60, 70, you start looking back your life and evaluate what happened to my life. Am I happy? And then you will find that a lot of people who have actually achieved a lot in their life in terms of big house, car, money, everything is very, very disgruntled with life. People have committed suicide even after being a millionaire. We have seen that. So, this is why it is happening, because you're actually placing all your bet on dopamine. But look at oxytocin. When you are helping others, let's say, you also feel good. But when you are helping, you're actually incurring cost. You're devoting time. You're spending resources. But still, you want to help others. Why do you want to help others? That's a fundamental question. Because when you have a cost and then still you want to help others, this means that you get that satisfaction from helping others. That's the reason why you want to do this. Your own self-satisfaction, self-fulfillment. But let's compare the feeling that you get out of helping others and the feeling that you get out of eating ice cream. Are they the same? The ice cream is giving you pleasure, is happiness, where you feel good about it. That kind of feeling. And then when you help others, you also get pleasure, you get satisfaction, you get happiness. Is the same feeling? No, they are not the same feeling. Remember, ice cream is dopamine and helping others is oxytocin. So if you plan your life 10 items to achieve, and if you make it 50% dopamine based and 50% look at the oxytocin, look at the serotonin, such a magic happens in your body. If you actually do mindfulness and start living in present, you understand how you control your mind, how you actually train your mind. You pick up exercise as one of your routine. You start laughing, smiling, right? And you choose it as a part of your demeanor. Does it make difference? It makes a lot of difference on our life. So people who are happy, they know how to plan their life, how to actually choose items to pursue, which actually is based on oxytocin, serotonin, and endorphin. So in nutshell, if we're talking about the science of happiness, we'll say serotonin is happiness, dopamine is pleasure. And that is what Martin Seligman said. Pleasurable life is one thing, happy life is another thing. So, we have to understand the difference between the two. Failure of well-being. You look at what is happening in our country. 74% Indians suffering from stress, 88% anxiety. Who is there who, find out one person who is not having, suffering from anxiety. And the worst that is happening to us is, look at the young generation which comes to our institutions. They are also stressful. They are so full of anxiety. And it's so important to talk to them about positive evaluation of life. Precisely because, if they get depression or anxiety, too much of anxiety at this age, the research says that, their cognitive competency will go down when in the later age, like when they become 40s and 50s, when they will start working with the corporates somewhere else for their livelihood, their cognitive competency will go down. And 12% of them have been found to lose job as well because of this phenomenon. Because what happens in 20s and 30s is going to reflect in your life when you become 40s and 50s, and that is such a scary thing to think about. And therefore, it makes a strong case that we should talk about positive evaluation of life with our students, especially. Richard Davidson also raised this fundamental question. So why some people are more vulnerable to stress and negativity, why others are not? He actually talked about distractibility and he talked about attention deficit. So he asked this question to his audience. The first question he asked was, what are you doing right now? If suppose I'm asking you this question, what are you doing right now? Your answer will be that, well, you have joined the talk and you're listening to me on happiness. That's what you're doing right now. So he also did that. And then he asked the second question to his audience. The second question was very important. I listened to this very carefully. He asked, where is your mind right now or at this moment? So if I ask you, you are here listening to me, but where is your mind? Is your mind on the talk or your mind somewhere else? And look and behold, the David Richardson's audience, 62% of them accepted the fact that the mind is not here. They are here, but their mind is not here. So a lot of research has come up which says that the wandering mind is not a happy mind. So if your mind is actually traveling in 1,000 directions, you have very less opportunity to become happy. And therefore, he correlated the mind movement, their inability to live in the present, and the happiness of the individual. And he found that people whose minds are wandering, they are less happy. So mindfulness is so important, and living in present is so important. This is one of the study I would like to introduce it to you, is by Harvard. It's 70 years. It took 70 years to conduct this study. It's a longitudinal, the longest longitudinal study available, and 3 generations of resource persons have gone into it. I'm just giving you 2 findings from this study. One is they looked at the childhood factor, whether childhood factor does matter when we age. And the study concluded that childhood factors or childhood temperament or ancestral longevity, your love and affection that you got in childhood, it didn't have much correlations with your physical health, your length of life, your life satisfaction, and your mental health when you actually grow up, become adult. But this is actually rolled in the mid-age, and that gives us a clue to controlling the happiness, because we all are responsible for our own happiness, because the way you manage your midlife is the indicator of how you're going to age. And then if you are a smoker, if you are into alcohol, lot of alcohol, or if you have picked up exercise as part of your routine, or if you have a stable marriage, the study says that the exercise and stable marriage had a high positive relationship with mental health, life satisfaction, happiness, etc., while smoking and alcohol abuse would actually undermine your happiness when you grow up. So aging is a problem which we have actually created for ourselves. We have not taken care of our life when we were in the mid-age, and that's why we are facing lots of problems, physical and mental, when we age. An interesting point that this study highlights is that the men who actually liked working the most at the age of 60, they are the one who liked their retirement the most at the age of 75. So it emphasizes the fact that the work is so important. How we approach our work makes a difference on the quality of our life. So are we approaching our work because we have to work because there is a salary associated with it, or we are approaching our work we really love to work or really want to work? So the people who have actually loved their work and they have actually try and find out the identity with the work itself and combine them together are the better happy. And therefore, the question of whether, if somebody asks you to do more works, you should be happy or you should be sad. The research at least says that you should be happy, because as long as you're working, and working very, very closely, very passionately, that's the indicator of how happy you will become. I can talk about this at length. Education and longevity, this study also found to be highly correlated. And they found that the people have lived longer who actually have the learnability. They learn more and they have inquisitiveness for learning new things. They have more longevity. And the people who are more engaged, the people who are more work-oriented and they love what they do, these are the kind of people whose longevity are more. Now, there are 3 findings I would like to share with you which has actually put the happiness as an important agenda in public policy. So far, we have been talking about happiness at the personal level, but at many platforms, we have seen that happiness is now used as a public policy. So first thing that the research says is that the wealth is not enough for happiness. So, a lot of studies have gone into saying that, well, money is important for happiness, but not all that it is important, right? So, there are a lot of things that is beyond wealth, beyond money that, we need to take care. Second, it says the happiness is measurable and accessible. It goes against the traditional belief that the happiness cannot be measured. But now we have developed lots of tools, lots of facets in which the happiness is measured, and even the time series data on happiness is available. So if you go to Rutgers Hogan's website, World Database of Happiness, or the World Bank's Happiness Report, you have lots of data on happiness available. So people are now working statistical work they're doing on happiness. And those who are interested in happiness studies can look into these websites and pick up the data and do the statistical modeling and start working on that. Third point, happiness can be promoted via public policy. And therefore, the fundamental idea here is that the happiness is not a place to arrive. There is nothing called like, you have become happy now, or you have actually reached a place of happiness. There is nothing called destination. Happiness is not a destination. Happiness is kind of journey, is how you plan your life, how you lead your life is the indicator of happiness. Look at this statistical work, the classic statistical work which Sterling has done. So he took the 3 different waves of data from US, more than 50 years data, and he concluded that while the GDP of the US has increased by about 3 quotients, the average happiness has either remained stagnant or it has gone down. If you look at the preamble of the Constitution of the US, it talks about the pursuit of happiness. So after all this kind of study, people have started questioning what has happened to the pursuit of happiness. Where are we? We promised happiness of the people, but you look at what has happened to the happiness of the people. Is the GDP that is growing, not the happiness? So that's the question that people have started asking. So this cross-cut country comparison of happiness, if you see, then it clearly says that if you start plotting the curve on it, you will get a inverted U-shaped curve, which will have an upper turning point. And this upper turning point means that there is a point after which the income is not actually giving us happiness. And therefore, classic speech made by Robert Kennedy in 1968, and he talked about that was in the University of Kansas, and it was in the run to the presidency. He talked about GDP, and he said, I quote, GDP measures neither our wit nor our courage, neither our wisdom nor our learning, neither our compassion nor our devotion to our country. It measures everything, in short, except that what makes life worthwhile. Happiness actually depends on those factors which actually make life worthwhile. And that's what he also tried to point out. And therefore, the clue to happiness is somewhere else. And that's why Tim Jackson, in his whole theorization, he talked about degrowth. And he also proved the fact that, well, the countries where the growth has actually slowed down for a considerable period are the one where the people were having better livability and they were better happy. So it's not about faster growth, it's about quality of life. Joel Gartner's Rise and Fall of GDP is a classic work. We have a country nearby where you can see how things are happening is Bhutan in our neighborhood. Bhutan is called the Switzerland of South Asia. If you have not visited this country, I recommend that you must visit this country to see how happiness plays out in the whole country. The moment you enter this country, right from the air to the water, to the people, to the mountain, to the houses, everywhere you will see the traces of happiness. And you can realize why this country is called a happy country. So it follows the concept called gross national happiness. Bhutan is almost like a second home for me because I lived there for 7 years. And that was a wonderful time of my whole life. We will never forget those days. If there are questions about Bhutan, I can answer that. But they have actually looked at 9 dimensions of happiness. And then this is how the framework of GNH they use, where they identify individuals as happy and not so happy. So, if you have more sufficiency on the dimensions beyond the cutoff, this person will be called happy. If they are not insufficient dimensions, then they will be called unhappy. So this is a framework. So it's a long deliberations of all these frameworks. So I'm not cutting short on that. ADB very recently they have come up with something called inclusive growth index, and if you inclusive growth green growth index, and then they actually correlated with happiness, and then you will find that in this graph you can see I have taken it from the ADB report. Happiness actually and IGGI are highly correlated. In fact, happiness actually lies beyond the IG. Therefore, the institutions which actually has adopted the sustainability as the core principles of operations, or even the teaching module, or practicing happiness, practicing sustainability, will be having better chances to become happy. So this is another clue. Look at the country initiatives. So the entire OECD project is going on measuring the progress of society, which talks about beyond GDP or other than GDP as important factors of how we can measure progress. There are a lot you can learn from Bhutan, Brazil, Thailand, UK, Australia, France, UAE. UAE is a country where there is a Minister of Happiness, there is a Ministry of Happiness. In World Government Summit in 2019, when I was invited there, they were talking about the city of 2050. So in 2050, what kind of city are we going to live? So they talked about all the modern, metaverse or AI-based, conveniences. But at the same time, they also said it's not about the technology in 2050. Technology will be all pervasive, and it will be available to everybody equally. But it is about happiness, and therefore the city of 2050 will be a city of happiness. It cannot be anything other than that. Joseph Stiglitz, the 3 Nobel laureate, Amartya Sen and Jean-Paul Fitoussi, was commissioned by the French president, and they came up with a report which is available on this website. You can see that report, and they talked about how the progress of the society can be measured, which goes beyond the GDP. So what is the need of the hour? So I'm just coming to my last leg. Need of the hour. So this is the small piece that we have written in Times of India. So I'm going to give you the crux of our research. This is particularly my research, which talks about the 4 fulcrums of life. So the first fulcrum of life is body. And when it comes to body, we have to adopt regular physical activities. Do not sit at one place for a long time. And this is what we have to tell to our students, to our faculty, get adequate sleep. So adequate sleep means you must sleep 7.5 hours. This is one thing that is not being practiced by the youngsters. And we have to make sure that we teach them how it is going to harm their body if they are not sleeping for 7.5 hours. Are they sleeping and getting up with the dreams, see the dreams? The sequence of sleep is that it goes through different phases. And when you start seeing the dream, that is the time when you get up. So, people who get up after seeing the dream, that means you have completed the cycle. So it's very important that you complete the cycle of cycle of sleep. Exercise, adopt exercise as part of your daily routine. Start with 30 minutes, simple exercise, that's the walking. So it doesn't take much. So all you have to do is to walk, 30 minutes walk, take it to 45 minutes or 60 minutes. Gut health is so important because, Payal Kothari, the Dr. Payal Kothari, she has written this book. I'll recommend you to read this book. She talks about the fact that more than 70% serotonin actually gets generated in your gut. And the day your gut is not good, your mind is also not going to be good. So one of the things that actually hampers your happiness is inability to take care of your gut health. These are small medical, pursuits, but these are so critical for happiness. So this is about body. Now, another fulcrum of life is called mind. And Marcus Aurelius, this is the book I'm recommending to you if you can read. Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic king from the Rome, he said that there is one single thing that can ensure happiness is the healthy mind. And this is where we are lacking. We talk about physical health a lot, but no institutions actually give more credence to the mental health. And it's so important that we start talking about mental health. And the facets which can take care of your mental health is you have to pursue regular hobby. If you have not actually have left any hobby, pursuing hobby is so important. If you have left it long back in your school time, you were playing cricket or you were a painter or you were a singer, a recommendation is that, leave everything and pick up that habit once again, bring it back, buy that guitar which you actually left in your school days and start playing that. This is so critical for the happiness of life. Active leisure is very important because research says that the leisure is source of happiness, but it's the active leisure which is source of happiness, not the passive leisure. So if you keep sleeping on Sunday, do nothing, at the end of the day, you become very, very lethargic and very unhappy. It's not going to bring you happiness. But Sunday, if you plan for doing some socializing, some cooking at home, some talking to your friend, calling or taking your family out, if you plan out your Sunday in such a way which actually engages you in lots of other pursuits which are important for life, that's how you get the happiness. Learnability is very important for healthy mind. The more you learn, the more you become aware, the better your mind thinks. That's so important. Be a stoic. A stoic means, the happy people are not those who are not getting any problem or stress or jolt in the life. These are not the people. Happy people are those who actually knows that the anxiety or problem of life are the part of life, and they will come. So they are ready for that. And that's why they are able to also face that. So they know that there are a lot of things that is not under our control for change. And I don't have to worry about that. I cannot change the sun. I cannot change the moon because they are not part of my scheme. I cannot change my boss, not part of my scheme. So the students who are actually joining the job and would be very unhappy with the boss, we have to teach them how to become stoic, because the things which are not under your control to change is the one which is going to bring you unhappiness. But the things which are under your control, which you can easily change, are the things which can bring a lot of happiness. For example, you can get up in the morning at 5, it's in your hand, no approval is required, no resources required, right? And your one single decision of getting up at 5 can change your life. Look at Robin Sharma. He has written 5 a.m. Club, and he talked about the people who actually decided to get up at 5 a.m. And then how they have changed their life because they started getting up an hour or 2 hours early than what they used to get up. Mindfulness is very important. Mindfulness practices are very important. So you have to adopt some kind of mindfulness exercise. What we do here is the heartful meditation. So heartful meditation, the mindful meditations are so important to control your mind. I can talk about mind later if there are questions. Third fulcrum of life is heart. Heart means, we are talking about the emotions. How you control your emotions are the indicator of your happiness, how you're going to live a good life. Here I'm recommending The Art of Happiness by Dalai Lama. So because I'm running short, because I need to get some questions as well, so I'm just running fast. The fourth fulcrum is called the soul. The soul is about, one's reason for being. That means you have to address the question, who you are as a person. And then if you have found the purpose, which is larger purpose, larger than your pursuits, helping others or things like that, what do you stand for? What is that you have actually? Why are you walking on this earth? What is the purpose behind you being here? I think Ikigai actually talks about this, the Japanese way of long life. And it says that if you are able to connect the dot between passion, vocation, profession, and your mission, you have actually achieved quite a lot. So nurturing the soul is very important, right? In Jaipuria, let me just finish in a few slides. In Jaipuria, well-being is a part of our vision. It says that we are in the pursuit of promoting human well-being. And it's a mission-driven activity where we are focusing on the learner-centric education. We are putting the focus is on putting the learner's interest first, and then developing the learners. When we are developing the learners, we are also talking about competent learner, ethically aware and socially conscious learner, who is going to carry a positive and happy attitude towards life. So that's how it becomes a mission-driven. Of course, the continuous improvement. So these are the elements. So pursuit of happiness or positive education is part of our mission-driven activity. That's what I wanted to say. And then we are considering well-being as a holistic construct, which actually does not only talk about the physical, but it also talks about mental, spiritual, and social. So all this combined together is a holistic education. We are using a lot of nudges, as you must have seen in the video as well. The primary nudges we are using is called, number one is the knowledge, that is awareness, where we have the blogs, talking, fireside chat, engagement, that is building relationship. We tell our students, we teach our students how to build relationship and why it is important to go beyond the networking. We have the wish program, we have the project goodwill, And then we focus on the attitude, that is thought of mind. The thoughts are very important. Here, the students are able to find out the meaning, values, and the value of being stoic. And the fourth one is the habit. It all depends on what practice and the choices that we choose for ourselves, because what we become is what the practices that we actually pick up. We are a product of our practice. So anything that we practice day in, day out, we become that. And it's very important that you make a conscious choice. So programs like Life After 6, 5 Habits, Active Leisure, these are things that we use over there. And we have this instrument called Jaipuria's 5 Habits, which talks about the cheerful disposition as the first thing, integrity, punctuality, dress well, work hard. So these are all well-defined principles that we are using in our campus. We are cultivating the culture of happiness. It's not just about teaching. It's also about creating a culture of happiness. So there are 4, elements that we are using it. We call it 4 mandalas. It's called the green mandala: aesthetic, intellectual, and ethic. So in the long run, the happiness actually depends on the principles and the ethics that you follow in your life. And that's integrity is so important for happiness. Teaching and practicing happiness. So we have a 3-credit course on science of well-being, which we offer it to our students. And the well-being corner, where the heartful meditations are being practiced, including the fireside chats, etc. And then it's all about balancing the rational aspect of brain, the left brain, and the emotional aspect of the right brain. That means the mindful and the heartful. These two have to be combined together. Your ambitions have to be combined with your health. Your conscience has to be combined with your profession. Your dilemmas have to be combined with your wallet or assets. Your inhibitions, challenges, commitments have to be combined with your friends, travel, entertainment, something like that. So, these two, balancing the two sides of the brain is so important. And that's what, we do here. We do at the level of practice, advocacy and research. We have a Center for Sustainability and Happiness, which keeps on doing a lot of research. And then we are part of the United Nations principles for responsible management education. That's what we do. Our faculty, they publish a lot of PRG journals. And this is my blog, Learning Corridor. If you can take a snapshot of it and you can join, you can read many articles that we keep on writing. And this is my email, this is my number. So I'm sorry for exceeding the time. If you have some time for questions, over to you, Mohit.
So if any one of you is having any query or question regarding session, they can post it in the chat box. Meanwhile, I have my own questions for sir. Sir, I have when you started that video, in between of that, there was a statement that our mind is trained to catch negative thoughts. So, sir, how can we detrain it if we are trained for that?
Yeah, a good question. So what happens is that the neuroscience says that we in 24 hours, adult brain will have 50,000 thoughts. And out of these 50,000, 40,000 will be negative thoughts that will come to your brain, and 10,000 will be positive. That means 80% of what you think is negative. So if you do not do anything about it, then your mind is naturally inclined to pick up a negative thoughts. It's called the cognitive bias of mind. So mind actually suffers from cognitive bias. Then it also says that the mind is neuroplastic. So neuroplastic means the mind is actually wired for picking up negative thoughts, of course, but this wiring can be changed. So, how do you change the wiring of the mind? So you change the wiring of the mind through practices, and these practices are mindful practices. These practices are, different kind of nudges that we use in the campus. So I say, important discussion. It will take some more time to talk about it, how we do it, but through nudges and through practices, mindful and heartful practices. That's how we can rewire our brain.
Sir, what do you say about people who have associated their happiness with the destructive activities? Like they get happy when things are going wrong all around, and for example, terrorists.
I know that. You get happy. You think that the happiness lies in money, the happiness lies in eating ice cream, happiness lies in killing others. Right. So that's how your brain is telling you. So these are all dopamine effect. So you're already doped. But what happens to the life? We have also have lots of examples where people have actually done all these kind of things. But at some point of time, when you start looking back your life and start evaluating, have I been really happy? You will realize that many people have admitted the fact that, well, no, we are not happy, right? We are not happy because something is missing. So, let these people do what they're doing. I'm not suggesting anything to them. But question here is that these are not the happiness in evaluative sense of the term. This may be happiness or whatever you call it, pleasure, in the affective sense of the term. So affective sense of the term and evaluative sense of the term are two different things. So your lifetime satisfaction depends on evaluative happiness. It's not on affective happiness. Say, for example, I'm drinking coffee and the coffee is spilled on me. So I'll be very happy. If I put off the AC, I'll be very happy. So these are not happiness. These are actually affective sense, happiness in the affective sense. So people actually confuse between what we are talking about. Are we talking about lifetime pursuit? Or are we talking about, small affective happiness? So these two are two different things.
Okay, sir. So can we say that spirituality, the concept of spirituality is the core of happiness? What do you say about it?
Yes, of course. Spirituality is very important. I'm not talking about a religiosity. I have not done any in-depth study on that, so I don't want to talk about religiosity. What I'm talking about is spirituality. Spirituality is a very scientific thing because when you do mindful exercises, it actually focuses or enables your mind to focus on present. And our inability to live in present is the indicator of how the quality of life is going to be determined. So we either live in past or we live in future, right? We never live in present. And it's very important that we focus on present because, when are we talking about past? We're talking about past in the present. And bygone is already bygone. You have to be a stoic, right? And then when are you talking about the future? You're talking about future in the present. So, present actions are the indicator of how you're going to live in the future. And therefore, where should be the focus? If you're really concerned about the future, you should focus more on what you're going to do today. And that's how the life is made up of. So spirituality helps you in that. So it's very, very important.
So the concept of prana or a life force that we say that they are different in different places. People use different terminology for the life force and prana. Is it related to happiness?
Prana and life, I'm sorry, I won't be able to comment more on that, but I'm not I'm a very scientific person with a scientific flair. So I've actually gone to investigate more into the literature, which is available from science of mind, neurology, economics, sociology, history. So I have combined them together. So I'm not a kind of spiritual person who understands spirituality in the depth of it. Right? I think you will be a better person to answer this question than me. But I guess as you are explaining, this must be very important.
So what are your views with the teaching of Vedas? Are they related to happiness?
No comment.
Okay.
Not yet explored, so I cannot comment on that.
Okay. There was a request for you to elaborate the heartfulness concept.
Yeah, that I can do. So heartfulness is you sit quietly. So we have taken this heartfulness from Daji Maharaj, Daji Maharaj, Hyderabad. His whole place called Nandan or Kanan Ban or something like that. So I visited him, I met him. I really liked his heartfulness. So what he says is as follows. He says, sit quietly. You don't need any guidance to do the meditation. Just close your eyes and focus on your inner energy. And then let all the thoughts come to your mind. Do not fight with the negative thoughts. If it comes to your mind, do not fight with them. All you have to do is to ignore them. So you keep ignoring your negative thoughts. Something like, I don't want to entertain you. And if there is some positive thoughts comes, you entertain that positive thought. So all you have to do is to do this. Let all thoughts come to your mind and keep on ignoring the negative, keep on entertaining the positive. And if you start doing this, your heart and mind is going to be in balance and you will be very, very tuned to the positive thoughts. So, I mean, even the quantum science, I started looking at the quantum physics. So quantum physics talks about the vibration because it says that we are all energy. We are nothing but energy, right? So if our energy is zero, we are dead. So, everything is energy. And where from this energy comes, he said that the words that we speak actually creates energy. And therefore, it's very, very important to choose the word that we actually speak. Say, for example, if you say flowers, flowers, flowers all the time, and colorful, what images that comes to your mind? The fragrance, the colorful manifestation, all these will come to your mind. But if you start saying shit, shit, bullshit, what kind of image will come to your mind? And we don't understand that these things are going to harm your body and mind, but they do actually. And therefore, it's very important that what kind of words we choose to speak is so very important, and we need to tell it to our students.
So is happiness related to law of attraction somewhere?
Law of attraction. There is something called, I know about the law of universe. I don't know how law of attraction will be associated with happiness or not, but law of universe, I know. Law of universe says that, we become what we practice and we get what we become. We never get anything what we are not. So if you really want to get something in life, you have to be that, right? So, whole focus should be to become something that you really want to be. So that's the law of universe. Law of attraction, I don't know much about it. I can't relate it with happiness.
What is your say about the practices of writing happiness journals and positive affirmations? Are they impactful?
Yeah, they are very important, impactful. It's very important that we keep on researching on happiness, because the more you research, the more dimensions will come in front of you, and you will be able to experiment more, innovate. So writing is very important, and the journal writings are good. There is a journal of happiness as well. So Radveen Hovan is the editor of that.
Thank you, sir. I guess all questions have been answered by you. And before ending the session, I would extend my thanks to our speaker, Dr. Prabhat Pankaj.
Yes, somebody has written headquarter is Kanha Santivanam. Yeah, you're right. Heartfulness Center is Kanha Santivanam.
So now I would like to extend my thanks to Sir Dr. Prabhat Pankaj for enlightening us over such an important and valuable topic of happiness that is very lessly talked all around, but is very important in current stage of where people are suffering from stress and anxiety, that we should talk about it in a more vocal way and reach out to people who are suffering and not knowing it. Thank you very much, sir, for being here. I would extend my gratitude to Dr. Ramaswamy Nandagopal, President AIMS, for allowing us to share the stage. I would extend my thanks to Mr. Sudhir Sharma, Regional Vice President AIMS, Northern Region and Chairman Master School of Management Meerut, for facilitating this session and considering happiness as an important topic to be discussed. I would extend my thanks to the AIMS Secretariat, and I will extend my thanks to all the participants here on Zoom as well as on the YouTube for being such a kind audience. Thank you very much. I would like to end the session.
If you allow me, I would like to express my gratitude for AIMS, Sudhir ji and the president who have given me this opportunity, and to you for conducting this so well. And I would like to apologize to all the participants who have put in lots of questions and they wanted to ask. I was not able to answer paucity of time, but I can ensure that if you can write to me on my email or on my WhatsApp, I can 100% get back to you with possible explanation I have. Thank you
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much for your kind words.